sun's path. This diagram is trying to represent the sun's path during, in this case, these actually 4 different days, because these are the same path, okay? Always want to look at the north, south, east, and west and sort of get bearings of what is going on here. So, some things I want to point out. These all represent sunrise locations. The sun always rises somewhere in the east, okay? Not directly east, only 2 days a year is directly east. We call this anything over here south of due east. We all call this north of due east. And those are just those 3 days. So for instance, in mid-August, the sunrise would be somewhere around here, just to give you a sense of what this is showing. So understanding this is really important. This represents the horizon for that person. So recognize that too. And then these are sunset locations, because they always set somewhere towards the west. This would be sunset in the north of due west. And that is the phrase we use, north of due west. So hopefully that is just review for you. Now, this is where it gets challenging for kids. So this is the path in New York State. It really matters where you are, but in New York on December 21st, this gives you an idea of what the path is like. So it rises south of due east. It sets south of due west. The sunlight hours is 9 hours of sunlight, about 9 hours, okay? Because the sun appears to move along this path at 15 degrees every hour. The sun's movement along this path is the same all the time, because that's based on Earth's rotation. So the shorter the path is, the shorter the daylight hours, okay? And the angle of insolation at solar noon is 24 degrees above the horizon for that guy. It's kind of shown on here. Also, December 21st is the first day of winter. It's called the winter solstice. There's a lot here. You need to really know this and commit it to memory. You may need to watch this video a few times. And I want to point out the angle of insolation at solar noon on this day, 24 degrees above the horizon. You should know that as well. Sometimes you have to draw that in, okay? So that can be tricky if you don't know it. On June 21st, this is the path on June 21st. So it's called the summer solstice. It's the first day of summer. It rises here, north of due east. The sun sets over here, north of due west. We have about 15 hours of sunlight, again, because this is a much longer path, and the sun travels 15 degrees of arc every hour, so we get about 15 hours of sunlight. And the angle of insolation at solar noon is 72 degrees. Notice, it is never directly overhead in New York State. You may feel like it is, but it never is. Okay, so don't get tricked on that one. And so, for instance, I drew this in 72-degree angle is the angle of insolation on this day. So commit that to memory as well. I'll show a way that's going to help you with that. So, and then March 21st and September 23rd, these are the equinoxes, okay, the spring equinox and fall equinox. And these are the only 2 days of the year where the sun rises directly east. We call it due east, and it sets due west. Okay, that's key. These sunlight hours, 12 hours. And equinoxes, equal amount of sunlight and darkness. Actually, the whole, everywhere on Earth gets 12 hours. So it's all equal across Earth, which is kind of cool. And the angle of insolation at solar noon in New York State is 48 degrees above the horizon. Okay, and I have a diagram for that as well. So angle of insolation on this day is 48 degrees. This is a lot to memorize, but you do need to memorize it. Okay, so this is sort of showing it, all of these angles here, 24 degrees, 48, 72. Now, how are you going to memorize that? Well, here's a tip. Just remember 24. You remember 24. Check this out. It's 24. You start with 24. You add 24 to it, you get 48. And you add 24 to that, and you get 72. So that tip I found really helps students. So go through this again. Make sure you know it, because I can never guarantee anything, but if there will be a question on this test. If there's not a question on this, on the Regents exam, I'll eat my hat. Know it.